Another episode of Forging Brains podcast. I'm Riley Kirkpatrick with my co-host Gavin Cooper. Today we got a cool guest for all the way from Arkansas right into your ears. We got Tim Hoover, also known as Hooter. Thanks,
Hello.
Hooter, for joining us.
Hello. How you boys doing?
Doing good,
Doing
man.
well,
How about
man.
yourself?
Oh man, just lovely. Just come off the golf course, and
Oh, a couple rounds of golf today, huh?
yeah, we got a men's league here, and they play your handicap and all, and which is good because I didn't do very good other than a handicap.
What does that mean? I have no idea about golf besides that you get a cart and you get some beer, you get to smash some stuff.
That's pretty much it. And if you don't smash it very good, your handicap's pretty high. And when you play in a league, they'll like give you strokes, and it's almost like cheating, but
Oh, yeah.
you know, it works
So
out.
like it's like you get extra hits.
Well, you get extra points, like less points. So today my handicap was 8, and I shot 8 over par. So I shot even par. Par is even. So
Yeah. Isn't it
Like I
like
did-
76 or is it 82?
72.
72.
It's
But-
like you guys are speaking a different fucking language, right?
I didn't know it when I was y'all's age either. You got to wait till you get. But you ought to take it up. It's like way fun. You ride around in a little buggy and drink beer and get you some friends,
It's
smack stuff.
One of the sports where it's really like peaceful, enjoyable, but it's also one of the most frustrating sports as well because like you
Yes.
want to do well and it's just so frustrating.
Yes, but it's not peaceful where I play. They
Yeah.
do a lot of hollering and hooting and carrying on. It's
Get
quite
pissed
the fun
off
deal.
when the ball goes off in the woods or whatever.
Oh,
and it's
yeah,
like,
but
God damn.
You can't.
So
can't
it's
act
pretty
up to that.
hard.
It's very hard.
It don't seem like it ought to be. It's t-ball. Nobody's even throwing a ball at you. You ought to be able to just watch it and go right down the fairway. But
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, it's crazy.
You
But
do a bunch
anyhow.
of golfing then?
Do what?
You do a bunch of golfing right now then?
Well, a fair amount. Not as much as I want, but probably as much as I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I heard one time that you were like, weren't you like a president of the country club or something like that?
I was the vice president. So back then, that's when Obama was president. I was like the Joe Biden. They wouldn't listen to nothing I say, but I just mouthed stuff off, and they said, "Well, that's just old Tim." You know. I'm still on the board. I'm over the bar committee. If you can imagine, that's a good idea. No, it's not, but that's what I do.
No, it's not.
It's a job title, I guess.
I tried to quit one time, and I asked old pops. I said, "Can you get off this board?" He looked at me and said, "Well, not if you can weld." You know, so I can weld, so I can. They won't let me quit. Not many people at the country club are welders.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Is this your like typical country club or?
No. But all country clubs would be this way if I was in them.
Oh.
I tend to have that. I tend to have that ability to kind of, it's just me, But
You
y'all should
don't come
play
off as a
sometime.
guy like that would be hanging out at a country club a whole bunch.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh. Well,
you're a horseshoer. Like,
yeah. That's how I know. Like if I meet somebody and I'm not sure where I met them from, if they call me Hooter, I know well they're probably a horseshoer or something. If they call me Shoe, I'm probably from the golf course because that's what they call me there because I shoe horses.
Oh,
Do y'all know Dalton Thompson?
oh yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, well, Dalton comes down and plays with me, and he wears funny socks, so they call him Socks. So we partner up and we're socks and shoes.
Oh, socks and shoes.
Yeah, he came down last weekend. We played in a tournament. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, he comes down a lot.
Oh, that's
It's-
cool.
Yeah. He lives in Missouri, and I live almost to Louisiana. He drives way down here and plays.
How far a drive is that for him?
Well, I think it's about 5 hours.
Shoot.
Come down
Just
and
play a
spend
couple
week
rounds
there.
of golf.
Well, we do other stuff. We made tongs and stuff, and
Oh, that's
regular
right.
stuff. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
make
So-
tongs.
You got Shoe and you got Hooter. How did you get Hooter?
Oh,
Where'd that
well.
nickname come from?
Well, that came from a long time ago. It's actually in this part of the world that's not that uncommon a name, and
Oh,
yeah. So if you have something that you want to say, hey, I got this, but you don't want to say what it is, you can just say, well, that's a Hooter. Like some
Like a
people
thingamajig?
well, or something like girls have Hooters.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah, and like back in the day when people would do them left-handed cigarettes, they'd call them Hooter every now and then. And then like what happened to me is
Okay.
yeah, I know I wasn't going to tell this on the air because
Oh,
it's
that's
big
the first thing I
popsicle.
wanted to ask.
I'm afraid of that.
I've
There
been
you go.
curious as well.
So back when I was a young fella, I rode bucking horses, bareback horses, and I was down in Fountain Hill, Arkansas. And the rodeo producer was Mr. Wiley. I'm not sure how old Mr. Wiley is. I was young, so I thought he was 80. But he lived for another 30 years after that, so he probably wasn't 80. But and his wife was sitting there, and I got off. I was on this bucking horse and dislocated. I mean, not dislocated. I come off of him wrong, and he stepped on my hiney, my arse.
Oh.
So I come back. I was limping back, and one of my buddies said, "You all right?" I said, "Oh, that some gun stepped on my," and I was gonna say arse, but Miss Wiley was sitting there, like right there. I said, "He stepped on my Hooter," and swear to God, that's been my nickname for probably 40 years almost, 35.
Stuck
years.
ever since, eh?
Oh, it's stupid. I mean, that's all it was. Got stepped on my iron at one time with a horse, and they called me Hooter. And not many people even know my real name. It's stupid, but it is what it is.
I didn't know it for a long time until I saw you on Facebook.
Well, there you go.
I still forget it. The other day, I was just like looking up your profile to see like where you're from and everything.
Yeah.
And it was like trying to like make sure I had the right place. And I typed in Tim Hooter, and it like wasn't finding you. I was like, well, this
No,
is
that's not
weird.
really my name.
Yeah, that's like, then it came to me. I was like, oh yeah, he's got another name.
Yeah.
It's convenient.
Real
It is
name.
convenient that it's so close to your last name.
Yeah, but it's just a fluke. It really had nothing to do with my name. Just more
Just
with
from-
my ass,
Swift kick in the ass gave you the name of Hooter.
Yes. Well, he stomped on me. It wasn't just a swift kick. I mean, I took one for the team. Did a
Got your
belly
ass
flop on
stomped.
it. Yes, I did. Which was common back in them days.
So did you grow up around riding horses and rodeo?
Yeah, I had horses when I was younger and stuff and whatnot, and I didn't when I was real young, but then I got a horse when I was probably about 14, and then I was after him ever since.
Now, how'd you get into like riding bucking horses then?
Well, why would you not, right?
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of reasons.
Oh, really? Well, I got out of that. I quit riding bucking horses because there wasn't anywhere to practice. So I'd go to the practice pens, and they had bulls there. I said, well, shit, I want to ride a bull then. I might well get on that. And so I started riding bulls. And that's a lot more common. I did that for a long time. Wasn't much better.
Got into
Do
riding bareback horses when I was younger as well, about like
Yeah.
15 years old, and did it for quite a few years as well. It was a lot of fun, but
Yeah, well,
takes a wear and tear on the body.
well, I don't know. I rode bulls. I guess the last one I got on, I was 35.
Holy
He broke-
smokes.
Yeah, he broke my collarbone. Well, he didn't break my collarbone. The ground broke my collarbone. And
Yeah.
because I was relocating myself from the bull to the ground, and he helped too much, landing on my head, on my shoulder. And boy, that's hard to shoe horses with a broke collarbone.
No, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
How often were you getting on?
Oh, pretty regular. I rode
At
amateur.
35 years old?
like- Well, yeah. I mean, weekly or whatever. Not quite weekly, but rode the
Yeah.
amateur bulls and stuff. I didn't ever made any big time. Mostly what I did was I'd get on and nod my head and ride for 6 seconds and come off and drag around behind them. I was a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
That's
That's what
It was
everybody
fun
came
for
to
everybody
see,
except for
really.
me. Yeah, I'd drag around, wave to the crowd.
just
Sign some autographs.
just taking a beating.
Oh, one time I hung up so bad, I swear I heard the announcer say, "Oh, we got good Cokes and popcorn at the convenience store. This is going to take a little bit."
Oh, that is the worst feeling in the world, too, being hung up.
Yeah. It's a thing, though.
Yeah, it's part of it.
I guess.
So
One
that's
risk you
were
take.
you doing like the typical like shoeing some horses to pay for your rodeo bill?
No, no. I mean, I was just rodeoing. I didn't make a living rodeo. I didn't ever make any money rodeoing to speak of. So, you know, well, at that time I was making my living shoeing horses, and
Yeah.
you know, so
So it was more of a hobby for you at that point then.
bull riding.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a crazy obsession, about like heroin or something. I think.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't stop it till I had to.
Try and go and pick up some chicks at the fair and rodeo and on to the next one.
Well, I've been married most of my life, so I never really did any good picking up chicks. I've been
Guess
married
not
a long
then.
time. No, that wouldn't. If you're the guy that's dragging around getting your clothes stomped off, you're not really the one the pretty girls want to hang out with that much anyway. You know?
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah. But it's what old Hooter did.
So what age did you start shoeing horses at?
Well, actually, when I was very young, I was 16, and didn't have no money and had a horse, and I had an uncle that had shod a little bit, and I called him and asked him to come help me shoe my horse, and he come and shod the right hand side of it, and then he said, now, and he told me what he was doing. He said, now was you paying attention? I said, yes, sir. And he got over. He said, well, here's my tools. Now don't call me no more. Well, I had to shoe the other side because he didn't shoe the front or the back. He shod one side of my horse. So that's what launched my career. And that's all the information I had for quite a long time. I didn't know nothing. It was terrible, terrible.
You just got to see him shoe one side of the horse and then
Yes. And then I went to him. It was awful. Yeah,
My
used,
goodness.
Used to take me 2 days to shoe my horse, and it wasn't consecutive either. I'd shoot part of him, and then I'd have to take maybe a day or two off. I'm sure my horse went to horse heaven, because I don't know, he never got crippled or he never limped, or I never cared, one or the other. I don't know. But bless his heart. But that's how I started my horseshoeing world. Yeah.
What like was that? How long did that education last of you just doing it out of
quite a
like,
while.
that you had to?
Yeah. No, I just did it, and then I started doing for the public, and I was doing better than the old guys around here that were shoeing. They said, "Well, yours looks better than theirs." I'm like, "Well, okay."
wow.
And so I
And had
people were
up to
paying
then,
me.
had you just been doing just yours?
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't have any learning or nothing. I'm actually the person that you hate the most in the horseshoeing world. That's who I
Yeah.
was, and then I don't know. I'd been doing it for quite a while. I was older, and I saw on the it was on the Western Horseman. It said, "What your farrier should know," and so I wrote them a letter and applied for the little pamphlet, and they sent it to me, and they had this. The FA sent it to me. Said, "What you should know," and it had all this list of stuff. Oh, I didn't know none of it. I was like, "Oh my God!" And I've been shoeing horses for money, and people were paying me and happy. And I mean, I don't know if they were happy, but they paid me. And so then I felt real bad, so I kind of slowed way down. And I was working. I used to be a welder. I was a pipe welder, and I did iron work and stuff like that for like the first 10 years of my life. And I shod a little bit on the side, mostly worked construction. So you couldn't get a big business built because you were traveling and whatnot. And then I came back. I was living all over South Arkansas, and I moved back to Hope. And there was a man that lived like 3 blocks from me and had a horseshoeing trailer. And his name was Monty Malone. It said, "Corrective and Specialty Shoeing." I said, well, that's what I need to know. Maybe he knows some of this other stuff. So I just walked down there and introduced myself and told him, I had a pretty good job. I didn't really need no money, but I'd like to work with him. And then I started getting a little bit of learning. He was a pretty good shoer. And so I worked with him for quite a while. And at this point in my life, I'd never met a man who made a living shoeing horses. And I was, I was on up there pretty old. And I was probably 26 or 7 years old and never even met anybody that shod horses for a living. Or if I met them, I didn't know that's what they did. You know. I know y'all talked to Caleb here a while back, Caleb Payton.
Yep.
Yep.
And so he kind of told you about how this part of the world is as far as, there's not a lot of money here,
Yeah.
There's a little more money here than where Caleb lives. But anyway, I worked with Monty part-time and worked for Brown and Root the rest of the time and did that. And when I got laid off for Brown and Root, if you didn't quit and you got laid off, they would give you this, I don't remember what they called it, some kind of incentive check. And I bought me a forge. Oh boy. And I was off and running in. Didn't know what to do with it. Oh yeah, but I was after it.
What type of like construction were you guys doing? Were you guys building structures or doing like pipeline stuff?
Worked in plants. So like paper mills and stuff, chemical mills, oil refineries, that kind of stuff. I never really did the pipeline and stuff. Well, mostly the stuff that made it a plant run and stuff. Sometimes the buildings, but a lot of the piping and and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of piping in places.
Right.
And I got quite a few buddies around here. That's what they do for a living. And
So
you were traveling a bunch probably. Like, is that why? So you were probably searching for something else.
Well, I mean, I wasn't really, but then if you work construction, you get laid off.
Yeah.
Sometime during you don't do that all the time, and then they, it's not the best job sometimes. I mean, our job's not always the best job, but they don't normally pour acid on you or hazardous waste or stuff like chlorine gas. I've not got any chlorine gas since I've been a horseshoer.
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good.
That kind of makes for a bad day when you fall out because you've been breathing some chlorine gas, which is common in the industrial stuff.
I bet.
More common than you think. I mean, it probably is not that much now, but back then, in the 80s and stuff, they didn't. It was all kind of disposable fellas,
What do they even use the chlorinated gas for?
Oh, chlorine and stuff. They like, that's why paper's white.
Oh, okay.
Trees are not white. Trees are brown.
Right.
And they use chlorine.
Surprise.
Surprise. That's how chlorine. That's how paper gets white. So they use chlorine. Okay. But they got all kind of chemicals for all kind of stuff. And anyway.
You speak like you've had it poured on you before.
Gas, yeah. And I've had PCB
Did it burn?
oil. Huh?
Did it burn? Like,
well, you fall out and like you breathe it. It's a gas.
Oh shit!
It's not like a liquid. I mean, it's a liquid somewhere, but when it leaks out, it's a gas. And
like you passed out.
Well, no, you just fall out on the ground and then you get up. But if you get very much of it, you get pneumonia. Like my buddy got pneumonia one day. And it happens say 5 minutes. He won't. It doesn't take long.
Pneumonia that quick, boom.
Yeah, it's like chemical pneumonia. It's not normal pneumonia. Not because it wasn't that cold. He just breathed that chlorine in there and it got fluid all in
it does not sound fun.
Oh no, it's not great. But I mean, it's not other than that. Nobody was kicking you then.
Other than that, it was freaking.
Other than that, it was great.
There's all these tight spots. You slept in a hotel every night.
Yeah, but I could weld stainless pipe, so that was really cool because I could TIG weld, and boy, that looks pretty. Y'all seen that before?
Yeah, stacking dimes.
No, it's not stacking dimes. That's
Were you weaving?
You do you walk the cup.
Yeah, it's a weave.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy. Yeah, you can make it shine, buddy.
How long did that take you to learn?
It took a little while. I went to welding school, and they didn't teach that in my welding school. So when I got out of welding school, and that's like about 84, I went over to Crossett, Arkansas, which is the other side of the state, and they had a big job there for Brown and Root, which is a big construction company. Now I told them I was a welder at the deal, and they said, no, you're not a welder. They said, we have welders. You're not a welder. And I said, well, I went to welding school. And they said, yeah, you're not a welder. I said, well, okay. I said, but I need a job. They said, you're a rod buster. That's what you are. I said, well. And they said, you're not really a rod buster. You're a rod buster's helper. That's what you'll be. Well, I needed a job, so I thought a rod buster carried rods maybe for the welders, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's not right. Rod busters carry rebar, like for
Oh.
the concrete. And, well, they tie the rebar, put it in the right spots and stuff.
Yep.
And if you're a rod buster's helper, you carry rebar. And back in the 80s, you didn't even carry rebar. You punked it. That's what they say. Punk that rod over here, boy. Oh, it was not. Yes, it was back before all this political stuff. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you punked rods. That's what they called it, punking rods. Yeah, that's not welding or toting rods for a welder. Like big rebar. Like some of it was like that big around, And
Like 3/4 inch stuff.
Yes, number 10s and 12s and stuff.
Stout.
Oh, yeah. But,
How long were you punking rebar until they started letting you weld?
Well, so after the rebar, that's like the concrete guys, right? This was a big shutdown. They were putting a machine in, a paper machine. Y'all seen paper mills?
Yep.
Have y'all seen paper? They're huge things. So
Yeah,
we had to put a big
warehousers
machine
all
in.
over here.
Yes, I figure so. So the concrete part is the first part they get done, right? So I got laid off, and there was a time in my deal there, my rebar foreman, boy, he liked to work. He was a fun guy to be around. He'd holler and sing and stuff. And I'd see these guys in a company like Brown and Root, everybody's got different hats, hard hats, different colors, so they could tell what your craft was by the color of your hat. And like the concrete guys or the rebar guys and the carpenters was blue, the electricians was yellow, like the iron workers was red, and then there's these guys wearing green hats that they didn't seem to do nothing. And I asked old Larry, I said, what is them green hat guys? I said, all they're doing is standing around telling jokes and eating sandwiches. He said, oh, that's that pipe trash. You don't want to be around them guys. They don't work. They no good. I was like, well, I'm toting rods around. I'm like, well, looks pretty good to me.
A hell of a lot easier than this.
Yes, I was about like 19, Anyway, so they come to me and they said, well, the rebar part is done. So you can get laid off or you can pick another craft and go be a helper. I was a helper, so it didn't matter what, they didn't care where I went.
Yep.
And I said, well, what's my options? And they rattled off a few things. They said, or you can be in the pipe crew. I said, oh, the green hat guys. They said, yeah, you can be a green hat helper. I was like, oh, well, all I got to do is help tote that boy's lunchbox to him. They don't do no work. Larry done told me. So I said, I'll be in the pipe. So I got in the pipe crew. Well, I found out that was incorrect. Why them other guys was standing around? Because the helpers was crawling around up there with come-alongs and stuff, dragging all that pipe through the racks and working like a Hebrew slave. It was terrible. I said, well, I wish I was tying rebar. This shit's way harder. But anyway, like we had a good welder, and I could weld like with a stick weld, but I couldn't TIG weld. And he would let me use his rig and his hood at lunchtime, and then kind of show me how to do the TIG welding. And I did that for a while, and then I got laid off, and then I worked other jobs, and I did a little bit of TIG welding along. It took quite a while to pick that up, maybe a couple of years. But once I got it, boy, it's gone in. So, no more rebar.
Perfect.
That's something I've wanted to learn how to do for quite a long time.
Well, come on down, buddy. I can show you.
All right.
I can show you.
Just takes a couple of years.
No, if you had some, it just takes like the right. It's not really that hard, complicated. It's just you just got to learn how to do it.
Yep. Hand-eye coordination.
Well, you walk the cup. It's like rolling a barrel. You
Yeah.
put the actual cup on the deal and roll it, and just go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Just
when you
go.
get done, it's all pretty. And you're like, oh boy, who's a welder?
Look at me go.
Yeah. Some old carpenter guy comes walking by and said, golly, that's pretty. Well, that makes you proud. Just like somebody looking at your foot and it's all nice and shiny and pretty. And like, boy, that looks good. You said, it does. Yeah.
You're right.
You don't
You're
care
right.
if you speak English, He likes your pretty work.
Yeah.
That's right.
So when you came home and you met, I forget,
Monty.
Mosby? Is that
Monty.
Monty Mosby?
Yeah,
So
Monty Malone.
Monty Malone. I was way off.
Yeah.
So when you met Monty, was he shoeing for a living?
No, he didn't even, he shot, and he was a carpenter. He just shot
Ooh.
part-time. And I'd shot for him for about a year on the weekends and stuff. We were just working 4 days a week most of the time with the construction. And then Arkansas used to have the biggest open horse show in the world called the State Show. And so
Okay.
one right after, I've been with him for quite a while. I said, well, I think I'm going to go up to that State Show and make a fortune shoeing horses up there. And so,
How'd that go?
well, not too good, And I get up there and I met all these other horseshoers. There's a bunch of them set up. They set up in the swine barn of all places. They let us set up there. And I met
boy.
some guys that shod horses, and some of them made a living at it. And I met this guy named Larry Pierce, and he was mean to me right off the bat. He said, you wanna help me with this horse? I said, yes, sir. And so I run over there and was gonna cut the clinches, and started rasping it, and he started hollering at me. Apparently I wasn't doing it right. He called me a stupid son of a bitch and all that, and I'm like, well, all right. And anyway, then I got to be his apprentice for a couple of years. He was real.
You
mean.
wanted to work after
Yeah,
he
of
gets
course I did.
done calling you a stupid son of a bitch, and then you're
Oh,
like,
that-
all right, I'll work for you.
If you get your name for getting your ass stomped on, you're pretty tough. You're used to being abused, right?
Yep.
So yeah. By the time I met Craig and him, I was well buffered. Didn't bother me a bit. All that stuff he says.
Suppose being in a work around carrying rebar for them kind of guys.
Yeah.
I
And then the rod busters, boy, they'd get on to you too. Call you punks
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, Larry was not the nicest fella ever, but he was a good horseshoer. And,
Yeah.
he showed me a lot of stuff. And
Is that when you started seeing stuff in the getting forged?
yeah. Monty did a little bit of forging, but he had this forge. It was an old Mankle, and it had a blower on it, and
Yeah.
and he would pull a clip every now and then or do a little something, but he didn't do much forging. Larry did some forging, and made a few shoes and stuff like that. But did a lot of extended heels and some rocker toes. But
Yeah.
he stressed the importance of it because he said you need to separate yourself from all these whack and tackers, right? You wanna be like,
Was he an advocate for like certification or anything like that, or?
well, he kind of was, yeah. So he, he was kind of was, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Kind of was, but it kind of wasn't.
well, he got his certified, and then he didn't do real good on his journeyman, so he said, well, you don't really need that. And I said,
Oh yeah.
well,
Heard
kind
that
of
before.
do. Kind of do.
do.
Kind of do. But
What kind of? I'm guessing you went down the path and through the certification and stuff. What kind of led you down that trail to try to seek that out?
well, so when I was working construction, like I said, I started out as a helper, right? And in the big companies, you got levels of helper. I was a third class helper, and third class is the bottom, right? That you just,
It's like an
then-
airplane.
huh?
It's like an airplane.
Oh yeah.
You first class, you want to sit there.
Yeah, no, this is third class. And then you get to second class and then first class, then you get to be a journeyman. So the journeyman situation, I had been around that. I grew up, or, not grew up like little, but once in my working life, I grew up around that. And I knew how they treated people, right? Like if you're a two journeymen could talk about something and there was a conversation. And then if they were talking to a helper, there was another kind of way they talked to you. It was very like a caste system almost. More so than horseshoeing, but not really. And the first clinic I ever went to, I went down into Shreveport I went with Monty, and we went to Emerson Horseshoe Supply. Y'all ever heard of them?
Yeah.
The Emerson Ambles? Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah.
and the first day I was there, they were like, these journeyman guys were kind of doing it. And I noticed, I said, oh, well, I tried to say something, but I was not a journeyman or a certified or nothing. And they treated me like I was a third class helper. Not being mean. That's just, I could see my place in the world right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because I was in this other world that was exactly like that. And I said, well, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to be a journeyman. That way I can say what I'm going to say and people have to listen. They don't have to pay attention, but they can't just blow you off because you're just some guy that don't know nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I started on that career pretty quick, Took a long time.
How long did it take you?
Well, like I got my certified pretty quick. That was in the early 90s. And then I think it was 98 before I got to be is it 98? Hold on, I'll look.
Gonna go take a look, find out when he became a journeyman.
Yes, 98.
98.
98.
Well, the reason I can tell is because I got this plaque because I did the best on the practical score that year.
Oh. What'd you score? You remember?
No, I didn't even know there was keeping up with it.
Oh.
I didn't even know there was a convention, really. They sent me that in the mail. I said, well, ain't that special? I won something.
Yeah.
It's a special award.
Yeah, I got a special award, and I didn't have to wear no hard hat or nothing, like on the short bus, that special.
Yeah.
That's most of the awards I usually got.
Why? What took so long to get the journeyman? Was there like something holding you up, or just
Yes,
life?
because in my regular field, I knew the difference between a first-class helper and a journeyman.
Okay.
And in my horseshoeing career, I knew what a journeyman was, and I waited till I knew I was a journeyman. When I went and took the test, if I didn't pass it, I knew I was a journeyman, and I just made a mistake or two, but I was at journeyman level. So like pipe welding, when you go to be a pipe welder, you go on a job where they test you, like right there before you hire in. You got to pass a test, and you could be a journeyman pipe welder and mess up a test. That's that. They always had a saying: the only guy never broke a test out was somebody who lies, or somebody who only ever took one of them. So like you could have some problems one day, but didn't mean you wasn't a journeyman. You'd make it better the other day. When I went and took my journeyman test, I knew I was a journeyman, and it turned out I passed it. But if I wouldn't have passed it, I wouldn't have been discouraged none. I just would have said, well, I made this mistake, but I could have went again pretty quick and not made that mistake or two.
So it was almost like you wanted to feel 100% confident in yourself that you were ready for it.
I didn't want to show up there. I never was that guy that show up and not be able to complete the work.
Yeah.
And were you working with other guys that were like looking at your work too, so you knew?
Yeah. Once I got with Larry and got on and I got around other people and learned some stuff, and I went to clinics and whatnot, and I was progressing on, and and I wasn't in a big hurry because I just wanted to be ready when I went and tested, and the whole deal was, and it's still now, most people go test and they're not ready for the test. That's why most people fail. And I hear it all the time. They're like, well, I passed my certified, so I took the journeyman. Well, you're not a journeyman. Why would you have done that? Well, I just wanted to see. Well, how you feel now? I mean.
Underprepared.
Yeah. I mean, and it is stresses the system out. It's like, well, you're going to test, and you're not ready. That's why I never really was a tester. Because like I don't have a good bedside manner when it comes to that. If somebody comes and they just made a mistake or something, and they've been prepared and they've been working hard, well, that's one thing. But if they show up and that's like their second bar shoe they ever made, you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be nice to you. You know, I made hundreds of these.
True.
Why I got to be nice to you? You ain't got no try. And And I'm talking about I grew up punking rods, rebar. So I don't, I didn't come from a nice way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the hard thing with social media these days, is somebody posts something on there and then like it's not up to standards or whatever, and somebody tries to give them criticism and then they think you're punking them or whatever.
Oh, you hurt them. Yeah. But, that's not the way to do it. You just, it's a thing, but it's not a good thing, not much. I mean, you can see a lot of stuff and whatnot, and it's cool, but you really ought to be with real live people doing stuff.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
real life people, but it's also it's like I think some of these guys posting this shit, it's shit, and they post it just because they like somebody will give me a pat on the back.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's always that, you know.
Yeah,
But
And I
absolutely.
think that's why they go and take the test. It's like they get done and like because there's a couple people that are be there be like, yeah, but good job for trying, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Good job. Like you're here though. You beat everybody that didn't come.
yeah.
It's
That's
like- I know that's the thing
that's
we
better
always
to
say to
contest.
everybody.
That's not really if you're going to take a test, you should be, you know, a little bit prepared. You should, you know,
Yeah.
if you
It's
if
like
you
a
don't,
horseshoeing contest as well.
Yeah. Yeah, if you show up the first time and you're not, when you show back up, you should be way better prepared. You shouldn't just go from, you know, Denver or somewhere to Texas somewhere and just take the test the next week. You didn't do anything. You didn't practice. But you can't say that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm saying it here in Hello World. But anyway,
Yeah.
We
that's
say
why
those
Hooter's not a
things.
tester.
That's the way we like it around here.
My buddy Dusty Franklin, y'all know Dusty, I'm sure. He's always
Yeah.
wanted me to be a tester, and one time he you know, I said, well, I'm not really that guy. And anyway, so one day I kind
Do
of
you think there's a way we could fix it?
fix what?
Like, do you think there's a way to like if you fail, you have to wait 3 months or something like that? You know what I mean?
No,
Or
you
like
should just
there
quit
has
being
to be a
nice to
wait
people.
period in between certified and the journeyman.
No, you just quit being nice to people. You know,
Yeah.
don't
mean-
tell them they almost made it. Tell them like, go home and make bar shoes. You know,
Yeah.
really, go home and make some bar shoes. Make a whole 5-gallon bucket or 10 gallons make a bunch of bar shoes. Then come back. You know,
Still, also, like, you could be totally nice to somebody. They're still going to think you're hurting their that you are hurting their feelings because you were just being honest with them. And really, it was the nice thing to say. Like, you need to just go practice some more bar shoes.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's unfortunate it is that way right now.
Well,
So did you do any competing in between that chunk that like?
I just did like the Arkansas contest. We had a contest every so often, and I would get into that, and but it was just, you know, just the folks around here, a few regular people, and we'd do stuff and go. But I practiced up when I went. I wasn't necessarily ready to win, but I wasn't gonna like not have my shoes done in time, you know. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I learned back, like, so the guys that taught me, this was like a long time ago. We learned like backwards. So you ever seen anybody scroll a horseshoe where they did it from the heels and to the toe? Like you did the heel first, and then the last thing you do is make a toe bend. And yes, that's how I learned to make horseshoes, and it's terrible.
Really?
Yes, and I got a lot of I developed a lot of bad habits. And I still carry them on today sometimes because I got them ingrained. All that practicing, I practiced doing the wrong stuff mostly. And so,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Because it's a lot of like you aren't really using the horn, are you? You're just kind of using
No,
the
no,
horn. As like
we
a
had
full
flat
thumb.
horns. We had flat horns on our anvils, you know.
Yeah, they weren't round.
Them old Lindsay anvils and stuff. Y'all ever heard of Jim Lindsay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was from Arkansas. He was like the main guy from Arkansas back in the day. I talked to him on the phone one time, but he'd gotten killed before I ever met him. But he made this anvil. It's a big old flat horn anvil, and it had a big old swoopy point on the end of it. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're not for making horseshoes. Maybe stopping a door open or something. I don't know. They're gonna be mad at me around here when I say that. But yeah.
Yeah.
But
Did
Lindsay,
they have like a super skinny face too?
oh yeah, about 3.5 inches, something like that. Big old
Yeah.
long deal, so you could whoop shoes on there, cold on the back.
Yeah.
But the people that made horseshoes around here was the gated horseshoers. So that's who had to make shoes because you couldn't buy gated shoes. I mean, Scott Colson, he come out with a shoe bender and stuff, and he started putting shoes out. But for a long time, you couldn't buy gated horseshoes. So the guys who shod the padded horses, like the walking horses and stuff, which was big in this part of the world, they made shoes. So all the guys that I knew that made a lot of shoes in my younger life were walking horseshoers. And so they made walking horseshoes, you know, and like a heel caulk, you flopped it over. You didn't stack it up. You just flop it over.
Right.
They still do it that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. It makes quite a heel
Yeah.
call. And I've never seen
Yeah.
one break off. I don't know. I mean,
No.
it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just,
They're ugly as sin, though.
well, the horse don't care. You ever seen a walking horse package?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I've nailed
yeah.
up some of them on. Like they
Oh,
are.
Yeah.
Like it's like in my apprentice we shod quite a few walking horses that were like
Yeah.
nailing on G bars and stuff, and they were ugly. The horses, the horses went good, but man,
Yeah.
no
Well,
such
Larry-
thing as clean out. Like,
Larry was a walking horseshoer. The guy Larry Pierce I worked with,
okay,
and but he was big on Purdy. Like we didn't. He said none of your customers are going to pick up their feet. He said, but they're all going to walk up there and see if it looks good or
On the
not.
top.
And
Yeah.
oh yeah,
and I'm back to the TIG weld, and I'm like, oh yeah, I like it to shine up. Let's get her done. And so
Yeah.
everything was finished nice, and like if he made a big package and stuff, it all blended nice, and everything was good, and you know. And the shoes would generally look as nice as you can make them shoes. I mean, he did a good job.
yeah.
But
So when did you first see your first like guy really forging?
well, my real first to it was down there at Shreveport, Emerson's. Now I'd seen
Okay.
guys down there at clinics make a shoe or something, but it was not really contest shoers. But
Yeah.
Emerson down there, and I don't remember the year, but they had a silver team also. Y'all heard of that?
Oh, yeah.
So the gold team though was Craig and Jim Quick and let's see, Craig,
Was it
Mark
Poor?
Milster and Austin Edens.
Okay.
And then Jim Poor was commentating for him, is that the word? Jim Poor would talk for him, so they would work and they would go. And then the silver team was there
that would
also.
Be great.
Oh, it was amazing. So that's when I met Cecil Buffalo. Y'all met him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so Cecil, we may have met before, but I don't really remember. We were sitting beside each other, and these guys, like they were practicing for Calgary, I think, and they made a pair of tongs and made a horseshoe in less than an hour. And Craig hollered out,
Okay.
"What are we gonna do with the other 15 minutes?" And I was like, me and Cecil were just sitting there awestruck, and they were doing stuff, and I was like, "Oh my good God, I want to do that." I just couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. It was amazing, and they were all on top of their game. Now Austin, he had just turned 21, so he was pretty young still. But I mean,
Yeah.
they were about it. And anyway, they got all done, whatever. And they used to have a lot of hands-on deal. I don't know if they do that too much in clinics anymore, but the clinicians would do stuff, and then everybody disperse, and you go work on a horse or do something, and people would do it then. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore. Everybody wants to.
No, they say hands on, and then maybe like two people will
Yes.
start working.
Well, then,
and everybody else. Got
And
the
maybe it
coffee
was
in
just
their
because it
hand.
was that group of fellas and people followed them around. Anyway, they said, well, let's go do hands-on. Well, the team guys, somewhere during the deal, had shod the front of one horse, or they shod 1 foot of the horse with 3/8 of one. And they didn't do the other foot. I don't remember what the deal was. But they didn't do the other front foot, for whatever reason. They were doing, maybe they had to make something else, some kind of Calgary practice. They were doing one foot and do something else. And they said, who wants to shoe this other front foot here? I said, well, hell, I do. They said, well, all right. And I said, this guy here is going to help me. And old Cecil, bless his heart, he turned all pasty pale and stuff. I said, let's go. And so we took him out there, and we got the team shoe on one side, 3/8 of one. The only
Beauty.
3/8 of one stuff I built was supposed to get real big. You didn't draw it out or anything. It was supposed to be 3/8 of one, but big heel caulks and stuff. And anyway, we start to go. We're going to strike, and neither one of us had struck before, and we found a sledgehammer, and that didn't work none. It was terrible out here. And he said, well, how long do you think we're going to cut it? And I went over and I took my ruler and I measured across and the corner and stuff. I said, 11 inches. And so I go over and cut 11 inches.
Did you have any reference at all?
Yes, yeah. So Cecil said, how do you know that? I said, ain't you been watching everything they did today? They cut 11 inches. I said, it didn't matter what they was making. They made a bar shoe out of 11 inches, I guess. I said, 11 inches. Anyway, we whooped her out there, and it turned out all right. I mean, not really probably, but kind of all right. Austin come by, and he said, well, that's all right. And he kind of said, well, we need to straighten this up a little bit there. Well, they had spiked them nails like that high. Well, old Hooter's going to spike nails too, by God. I punched them pretty coarse, and I drilled them, boy. And it's a white horse, right? It had a white foot, and it was leaking blood out of the top. Like, I didn't notice that when I was, like, it was bleeding. And then, of course, everybody's coming around looking because it was the team's horse. And they're like, oh, they quicked that horse. They quicked that horse. I'm like,
oh, thinking it was them.
No, they didn't do it. I did it. And old Mark Milster, he come by in there and helped me not quick him and drove another nail for me. But oh, man. I mean, I quicked him until he was bleeding out of the top. It was embarrassing. I mean, not really. I was trying to do good.
Can't fault the guy for wanting to try and get better.
I'm ready to be on the team right now, by God. When I seen that, I was like, I want to go. Put me in, coach. I don't smoke.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
ready. Anyway,
3/8 by 1. I got this.
Do what?
You're 3/8 by 1. I got this.
I got this. That's old school
I'll get
stuff,
these nails up there.
Give me 11 inches.
Nails. Oh, man.
Mine pretty much looks the same besides the blood part.
Yeah, other than the blood part, yeah, it's pretty much just like that, boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Put me on gold team.
But anyway, I was off and running then. I was bound. I was just wanting. That's all I want to do is build shoes and do stuff from then on. And thank goodness, like I wasn't really a good spot. And I had young kids and family and stuff. And so I couldn't afford to go and do like contests all over, And then Craig started his deal. And the first place they went was Shreveport. I said, well, hey, I'm going to have some of that. So I go and sign up in Division 3. As I'm like, well, I'm a journeyman, should be in 3. Had no idea. No, I got smacked down. It was terrible. But I was done signed up. And Raleigh and Jake Engler, I think they tied for first place or something. They was like right there in the top. I'd met Riley before at Dusty's house a long time, but anyway.
Desiato, right?
Yeah, Riley Desiato. I'm sorry. And anyway, everybody was there, and it was cool. And met Travis Coons and Billy Reed and all those guys. And I don't know if they were really nice to me or they just thought I was like the retard kid. But they let me hang around, I got to know them.
Yeah.
But then the next contest was in Colorado, and I'm like, well, that's not my range, And Ross Emerson, that was Dilton's son, he was pushing those ambles. And he told me, he said, hey, I'm going to go out there to Colorado at Durango. He said, I'm going to go out there and take a truck. You can ride out there if you want to enter that contest.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm like, well, all righty then. And me and a fella named Shannon Hamilton, we load up and went. And, boy, I was off and running then.
Hooter's going to Colorado.
Hooter, I went to Colorado. I went everywhere for 5 years. 5 years, I got the bug. I didn't miss a one for 5 years. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we went and went.
Do you remember what the shoes were at the first one you went to at Shreveport?
Hard.
Yeah,
we had to make Tool and Fuller and put on a foot. I'm like, what?
Oh, fuck.
What? Nobody even knew what Tool and Fuller was. Like,
you hadn't made one up to that point, huh?
Well, no, I made a bunch practicing. I mean, we went and learned and whatever and built a block.
I was going to say, you couldn't just buy a block at that time.
No. I went to, so do y'all know Jeff Ridley? You ever heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Him and Craig was partners at the time, and I met him. Oh, he had done a clinic for us in Arkansas, and I'd met him at the super clinic. We went to the super clinic also, and anyway, so Jeff, I went to his house in Iowa. He lived in Iowa, and he helped me build a block, and boy, we was off. But anyhow, you can imagine. But not anybody hardly knew how to do Tool and Fuller. I mean, the team guys, some of them had done a little bit, but not really.
Yeah.
And then it, and I don't know what all else they had to do, bar shoes and stuff. I can't. But
It was above your pay grade at the moment, though.
Well,
Huh?
I mean, I got all done. And, you know, he didn't bleed. I didn't bleed that one. I did better than that. I learned not to do that crap. But,
Did you end up having some success in those 5 years that kind of kept you hooked and wanting to go?
I won a little bit along, you know, and like in 2010, I won Division III and won the Striker of the Year, you know,
nice.
and stuff like that. And I did a little bit of good, but you know.
Did
So
they
do
give
you
out?
shoe out of the rig that you won?
Oh,
No.
absolutely, yeah. I still got.
They did give out rigs then too.
Oh yeah. I got a stone.
That's
I
sick.
got actually. I have the last stone well that was over. What was the guy? Oh man, I feel
Brent?
bad.
Yeah, Brent.
Brent ever had anything to do with it. He had sold the
sweet.
company, but he came back and kind of was overseeing that or whatever. It was funny because we'd been there for. Y'all ever got one of them?
No.
Well, it takes like all day to get it. So we're sitting there and getting things ready, and the guy come out. He said, "Hey Hooter, could you come in the office here for a little bit?" I said, "Sure." So I went in there, and he said, "Like they got this thing on my truck and everything ready." He said, "You know, man, I don't even know your name." he said, "We're giving you this daggum $10,000 shoeing rig, and I don't know who you are. I'm gonna need some information." I said, "Well, all right." Anyway, but they had a big old barbecue and stuff for us. Oh, it was neat.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Oh, Lloyd Clayton went out there with me. Y'all know Lloyd?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lloyd's a good guy.
Yeah, he's done got a job now. Do you know that?
Really?
No.
Not shoeing horses?
Oh, he's still shoeing horses, but he's a state livestock inspector. Yeah, I don't know what he does either. I went and saw him one time at a
He
sale
strong
barn.
arms people. That's what he does. I could see
No,
Lloyd. If
he
Lloyd
just-
got out of the truck and had an official shirt on and a notebook, I think I'd start running.
Oh, he has a computer.
Just right away.
Yeah, he has a computer. That's all I seen him do, typing the computer. They run the cows through, and other guys did stuff with their ears and whatever. But Lloyd typed on the computer. He's like, "Whoo, it's hard life here."
The only thing I know about livestock inspectors was what I've seen off the show Yellowstone.
Oh yeah.
They got guns and they're shooting people. And
No, that didn't
sorts
appear
of
what
stuff
that
like
didn't
that.
appear to be what Lloyd's doing. He wasn't rough.
Did he get a gun?
No, I don't think he got a gun. No. I mean,
It might
he
be a
just
little far from the truth on the television show.
Well, they go around and check the sale barn, see if they got brucellosis tags, and keep up with breeding stock cattle. And you'll have to ask him all about it. I don't know, but
That's
he's told me
Yeah.
more than I ever really thought I needed to know about livestock inspection. I don't have any livestock, so
Don't
Yeah.
need it inspected anytime
no,
soon.
I don't need. I got a little dog. We can expect Lola. She's not too rough.
So you've kind of gone down the forging rabbit hole even since you stopped competing, though, huh?
Oh, I never. Once I got the bug, I've been, even before then, I like doing blacksmithing and stuff and whatnot, and forging. I just like
Just liked
forging.
metal.
I like being in the shop. I like beating on stuff, and, I like swinging a hammer, especially a sledgehammer. Like to
You
beat
like
on stuff.
swinging a sledgehammer.
Absolutely, yes.
He's striker of the year, man.
Yes, but I don't like tooling fuller than match play. Yes,
Ooh,
that
God.
seems a
That's a
little silly.
hustle.
That's a little silly.
Seems a little silly.
Yeah. God
Yeah.
dang.
Y'all been in that?
Not
Have
with
y'all-
Tool and Fuller.
Oh, well, yes. Yes, that's how I kind of ruined my arm, I think. My right arm went awry from that. I mean, it's all
Striking
better
out
now.
two and
but-
forwards.
Was
Well,
that what did it happen the year that you were doing Striker of the Year?
Yeah. They're doing that Tool and Fuller match play crap.
You
I mean-
remember what it got the time got down to?
Too fast. Yes,
Too
very
fast.
fast. Too fast.
Yeah.
That was before they were doing Eagle Eye, and they were actually making nice shoes. And
Oh.
yeah,
You just had to make a horseshoe.
a nice horseshoe. Yeah, there wasn't the Eagle Eye. It was just you make a good front or whatever and go. I mean, it was fast.
I
don't
see.
know.
Didn't necessarily need to fit. I see.
Well, I don't know, but it just.
And were you striking
could-
every round?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't strike every round, but you'd have to go pretty regular, and you do a tool and fuller and just bashing stuff out, you know.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't. So somebody who made just a crappy old shoe that fit couldn't beat you if you made a nice shoe. You know, it was about making nice shoes more then, and it wasn't really a kind of a crap shoe like, you know, not many Division I guys were winning much in the match play then. You know.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It was.
So that's probably where they kind of got the slack, I guess, between well, these shoes aren't necessarily being made for feet. Why are we making them this fast? So they probably switched it over to
Well, you still had to make a
fit
nice
into
shoe.
foot.
I mean, you were judged like you judged each whether you had to make a front shoe or a hind shoe. You know, I mean, it had to be a nice shoe, and you just,
Right.
You know, I mean, but it had to be a nice shoe. That was the whole deal. I think that was the whole purpose behind it all, was to get to where you can make nice shoes real fast. You know, and then it just
efficient.
It's gone crazy. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
now-
pretty wild now. Now you can measure.
Yeah, they had done a
And
little
so
bit
it's
of
like,
that
it's
before.
getting pretty accurate.
Yeah, but you gonna make a real nice shoe to fit a foot in 11 minutes, and it's a tool and fullered or something? I mean, probably, maybe, but
Probably. Yeah.
you know,
As soon as you
Tough.
say it can't, it's impossible. If someone who does it.
no, I didn't say that, not at all. No,
Yeah.
you're probably doing 7 minutes, I know. But if your guy wins that you struck for, guess what? You got to turn around and do it again. You know, he don't want to tag in a new striker right here in the finals, right? He's done made 12
No.
rounds. Hey, come on,
Well, that's
Hooter,
like the
let's go
thing
one more
now. It's
time.
like, it seems if you want to win Striker of the Year, you have to go to every single contest and you have to strike pretty much every single
Well,
go.
that was true also. We did the match play didn't count for striker of the year. So, but if you were striking, you just was that guy. But you still had to strike every go. You know, and like, because if you didn't, if you took off one go anytime during the year, you couldn't catch up. You couldn't you know, if you got behind one. I know the very first year. So once we kind of started and we realized what it took, you got to just go every round. Well, Todd Walker and I were going every round, and Daniel Jones had gotten one round behind, right, earlier in the year. Well, he never could catch up, you know, and then you know, we got down to Florida, and I about died off, and I had to drop out. But and Todd won, and Daniel got second, and I got third that year. But you know, that's the way it is in the striker of the year. If you take one round off, like you get a bellyache and got to go to the bathroom or need a hamburger or something, you didn't win the striker of the year. They still like that, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a harder thing to win than people realize. That it's like, it's a ton of freaking work doing every single
Oh, it's way cheaper to
round.
go buy your own shoeing rig. Yeah. It's way cheaper to buy a shoeing rig.
Yeah.
And you don't get the black lung so bad, because back in the day we was in the tent, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's what happened to me in Florida. They had all the forges lined up, you know, 10 forges, and for some reason, Craig got another tent to do clinics in, you know, like some people are doing clinics, but they put it up right behind that tent, right behind the forges. And so the 5 forges in the center had that other tent behind them. And so there was no air in there. And I did like 4 goes in a row in that middle section. I just drawed bad.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Oh man, I fell out. It was terrible.
It's tough.
Oh,
Just in the oven.
Florida.
I got died out. Yeah, it was hot and no air. Anyhow, wham. But Todd Walker done a good job. Daniel got second. They did great. Wasn't nothing, you know. I'm not taking nothing from them. But we had it
so
all
you-
dreamed out. We had it all. They had all figured out how we was going to do a tiebreaker, because it looked like me and Todd was going to win first year, and so they only had one truck body. You know, you only get one. So they were going to have, like, I forget, like 3 minutes in a certain section of bar stock, and whoever drew it out the longest was going to be the striker of the year. Like that was going to be the tiebreaker best I can remember, something like that.
That's what it was going to come down to.
It was coming down to that till I about had a heat stroke and died right there at the last day.
Oh, dang.
I couldn't.
That's a bummer.
Oh, well, I did a good job. I got one. Took me a few years. I took a year off or two, and because Daniel won it the next year, then Chris Madrid, he won it, and then I said, well, I better get back again. I pulled up my britches and went back to it.
Yeah.
Got it done.
Got her done.
You've been making a bunch of tongs lately.
I have been making tongs. Yes.
What started you down that?
Well, I've always made tongs and stuff. I like making tongs and blacksmithing stuff.
Yeah.
But, do what? My wife's hollering at me in the background.
Uh-oh. In trouble.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife, sometimes I get in trouble. I have to go out in the shop anyway. She gets mad at me, and I can't stay in the house no more. But anyway, so I then went up, Dalton Thompson. They had a little deal in Missouri, and I went up there and did like a little class kind of thing for like 10 of their buddies and stuff, and we all took a bunch of lollipops. Yeah, we made tongs. I think you did one there, Raleigh, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a clinic there a while back. Yeah.
With Eli and them.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went up there, and it was like
I did it. Did you do it at the Amish place?
No, I did it at Eli's house. We just did it at his shop.
Oh,
Everybody pulled their rigs out and stuff. And anyway, so I took all the lollipops and whatnot, and they, we made tongs, whatever. And Dalton said, well, how many tongs you reckon you made in your life? I said, well, I don't have any idea. I mean, I had no idea. I've reordered rivets like 3 times, and there's 100 rivet minimum, right? And
That's a lot.
Something. And anyway, so I said, but I don't have all I need. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, like in my shop, like, I don't have every kind of tong you could possibly want. I said, I still got to make tongs. And I still like to learn to make them better and stuff. And Dalton's, he's a deep thinker. He said, well, what if you made a pair of tongs every week this year? Look how many tongs you'd have. And, well, I pondered on that for a little. I didn't just jump right on that deal. But then I decided, well, by golly, I think I'm going to do that. So every week I've been making tongs, and I still don't have any.
Do you make the same style each time, or something different each time?
I started. Well, I make. Depends on what I'm doing. Like, sometimes I'm working on you always got to work on the horseshoeing tongs, right? That seems to be the main factor. So you do a lot of them, but I like to do like the gooseneck tongs and just whatever I need tongs, but whatever. But no, I don't.
Do you remember who the first person that you learned how to make tongs was from?
Yes, I do. So I was at Scott Colson's shop, and he lived in Mississippi somewhere. He's the guy that made the walking horse shoes, right? Remember I told you about that? He had a big shoeing deal. Well, Jim Poore and Bruce Daniels made a pair of tongs, and I'd never seen it like that. I mean, and Andy Hitt was sitting right by me then. And, oh, man, we were just glued in. It was freezing cold. And they made them tongs, and I just, like, awestruck. Andy was, too. Y'all met Andy Hitt?
I have not.
No.
Oh, he's a wonderful man. He lives in Texas. Wonderful fellow.
Okay.
If you get the chance to be around Andy Hitt, you need to do that. He's a wonderful fellow. He's an older guy, but anyway. So that's the first time I ever saw tongs made like that. And it was Jim Poore and Bruce Daniels. Boy, that was neat. Then Scott, he had gas forges, like natural gas forges. So we had a hands-on deal after, and I decided to make a bar shoe. Well, a natural gas forge doesn't get really hot, I don't know if y'all ever worked in one. It was just like Spanish Lake forges, but they ran off natural gas, and it wasn't quite as hot. And nobody had any flux, because so I was looking around for flux.
Clinic.
Huh?
Because it was a tong making clinic, right?
No, it wasn't really a tong making clinic. They just made tongs. It was a horseshoeing clinic. But
okay.
But there wasn't really like a commercial flux at that time, though, was there? Like,
they had Sure-Weld, I imagine, but nobody had any, because it just wasn't common for people to jump out there and make bar shoes that much. So I was looking around, and I had been to some knife making stuff, and I'd seen them soaking those billets in oil, or I thought it was oil, it was kerosene, and I was
That's
like,
kerosene.
well, hell. I said, well, you can weld with WD-40. I saw some WD-40 there. And they said, you can't weld with WD-40, Hooter. I said, yes, you can. Well, in just a minute, we started betting. I said, I bet I can. Well, the money started coming. And Bruce Daniels, they threw in money. I bet I had $30 to bet against me. And I was taking them all, boy. And anyway, I got the shoe hot, and I was going to flux it. So I held it up. I said, look here, I'm going to flux it. And they were all just, I was sold it pretty hard. And I sprayed that WD-40 on that hot shoe and was showing them all. I burned all their eyelashes off and their mustaches. Oh, and they were laughing. They said, you can't do it. They were so funny. I had to pay the $30, but they didn't even know I was burned their eyelashes and stuff. They were so glad about winning. They didn't know I was burning them up. Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh, man.
If you can't have a little fun, what can you do? But no, we didn't make bar shoes. I don't know if you can weld it with WD-40. I couldn't. Not that kind of force. No.
You'll have to try it again one
But
day.
I sold her real good, yeah. Probably in propane you could, or Coke.
Oh, yeah,
But-
Coke for sure.
Yeah. But you can thin out a crowd with a can of WD-40 and a hot bar shoe, buddy. You can spray it around. That'll get them.
Oh, that's good.
I like that.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw tongs made that weren't like blacksmith guys' tongs or something,
Yeah.
And,
Because there's a pretty decent blacksmith group around Arkansas, isn't there?
Well, over in Texarkana, we have the 4 States Iron Munchers, and we have a lot of people, members and stuff and whatnot. Yeah, they do have a lot of people, but there's not really very many advanced blacksmiths in it. You got a handful that can, do a lot of hammer make. Well, they're not hardly any full-time blacksmiths in it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
It's just hobby guys, but several of them, they like to make hammers and stuff and tongs and whatnot. We make stuff. I go there when it's not golf season, but
Yeah.
can't go now because I got to golf.
Did you ever get to spend much time around like Jay Sharp?
Yes. I got to spend a good bit of time around Jay Sharp, and enough that Jay was just a sweetheart of a guy. I don't know if y'all know him.
No.
Not
No, he was
personally,
not
but-
really. That was a lie. He
Yeah,
was
I was
meaner
gonna say,
than a snake.
I've heard other
Yes,
things.
yes. And he was mean to me especially because I would be mean back to him, and he liked that. So, yeah, I almost had to get a skin graft on my knee from him beating me with that freaking cane. He swamped me on
Really?
that damn shin. Not really a skin graft, but I mean, he would hit me with that cane a lot.
Just getting after it.
Oh man, he was yes, yeah. I knew Jay quite well. I like Jay. I
That's
think
cool.
he
You get
liked
to
me,
see
but
him make any tongs?
I never saw him make tongs. No. I
Oh.
saw him. Well, by the time I got to know Jay, he had, he wasn't really. He was still Jay, and he still knew everything real good. And if he told you something, you needed to really listen. But he didn't. It was kind of later in life. And
Yeah.
he was still doing stuff, but he did it at home, and he took his time, and he's an amazing craftsman.
Oh man.
I got one of his
Super good.
shoes right there on my wall right there. Well, 2 of them,
Oh
actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
I-
cool.
Yeah.
So what have how many pairs of tongs have you made now just since
I
you
made
started
30
doing
this
one
year.
a week?
I made
30.
30 this year. So,
That's a pretty good chunk right there.
oh,
Yeah.
And I think I have 2 of them. Because that deal about me filling my shop up, that didn't go very well.
No, I'm not very well at all.
Everybody needs tongs. They like, hey.
Yeah.
Especially
what
when
are
you start making them that much.
Oh,
and
yeah,
people, all of a
yeah.
sudden you got friends coming out
You
of the
got
woodwork.
friends
So-
everywhere. And hey, come make tongs with us. And then, you go somewhere and you take some to show them what you're going to build. Then you build some, and then maybe you build another pair. And how many you get to bring home? None. Oh,
Exactly.
yes. So I don't have many more tongs than I started with. But I made a bunch.
What are some things that you've learned just in this chunk?
Oh, the part where the rivet goes? Needs to be really flat.
Yeah.
Really flat. That's
Yep.
the main thing, you know. And I was up in Missouri a few weeks back, and a boy named Rob from England, he lives in Oklahoma. He
Yeah,
had a
sheep
pair of
shearer.
huh? Yeah,
He's a sheep
Rob.
shearer.
Rub. He said, "My name is Rub." I was like, "What are you rubbing on?" Rub. Anyway, he had some Madrid tongs, you know, and I know Chris, known him forever, but I was really looking at them tongs, and they work wonderful, you know. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Chris, and that's the main. I mean, all the other stuff, you know, the offset and everything, but to make them really go, you got to really get that part right, and that's what that's a big thing, and you know, in micro progressing, that part really has to be flat.
There's so much going on right around that rivet.
Yes. Yeah.
Just in that spot.
Yeah.
Like it has to be flat, but also it has to have enough clearance from the other jaw.
Right. Your top, bottom, side, and all that stuff. But that's kind of a gimme. You can tell that locked up. But when you get them and they start working and they don't work, and you're like, what is that? What is that? Well, they gotta be flat right there.
And are you locking your rivet on one side?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't ever do it, but but they do have to be flat. Like even if I'm gonna make a pair of hammer finish tongs, I file that inside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You got a set hammer or something?
I got a set hammer. Yeah, I just got a set hammer to be real close, but I may file them if that's what we do. I mean, I'm trying to learn.
That's the first time I saw tongs made. Like I saw them made in horseshoeing school a little bit, but then I got a horseshoeing school. I went to a Shane Carter clinic, and Shane made a pair, and he carried on for about a solid 5 minutes of how big of a deal it is to have a flat boss.
It's a big deal.
He sat there filing on that thing and making sure it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And so do you use a bolt first when you set the tongs up?
No, I have a rivet on a stick. And so
what?
A rivet on a stick. You don't have a rivet on a stick? A rivet on a stick.
Oh, so you can just set it in there and then like.
No, I got a rivet welded to a piece of 1/4-inch stock, you know, like a stick. And so you drop the rivet with the stick on it in the hardy hole or in the Pritchell hole, and you just set them on top there. And
oh, you can just see if they work.
yeah, and you can adjust them, and you can just spin it around like that too. I can't help doing that. I've hurt myself several times.
Is that how you adjust them for the thickness?
Well, you get them
the
close.
stock is with the.
Well, you put them on there and see, and if it's not going to work, you just take them off and, you know, adjust the head a little bit, whatnot, and you get them real close, and then you just put them on there and take them off. You get ever how many tries you need because you just weld you a rivet onto a piece of 1/4-inch or something round or square.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and then you can drop it in the hardy hole and it'll.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then also though the main thing is you get to put it in the tong once you punched it and make sure it goes, and you spin it around, and it's fun. I have no. I live in South Arkansas. We don't get out much, so you spin the rivet. And sometimes you sling it off and hurt people when they're around. Sometimes it burns you. I mean, this is not a safe sport, but
it's the risk we take.
Huh? The risk we take.
Risks
yeah,
we
rivet
take.
on a stick. Yeah, that's I've done that so much. My rivet has actually bent. My rivet on a stick is not straight anymore. I've done spun around.
Not that accurate.
Well, just spinning around so much has bent the rivet. It's embarrassing. Like the actual rivet.
Did you come up with that yourself, or did you see that someone do that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if I came up with that or not. I may have seen somebody.
You did.
Well, I mean,
I've never seen anybody do it.
People put nails, the braised nails on little pieces of rods so you can check your nail holes and not burn your fingers and stuff. I mean, it's like
that's where you got it from.
Maybe about 2 or 3 times after burning my finger, dropping it in a rivet hole, and I said, well, I should weld that on a stick. I don't know. I've just always done that. I didn't know I don't know if I learned that or I invented it. I probably did not invent it.
I don't know. I've never seen anybody do it.
Oh.
Because like I know that's like Money bolts his together.
Yeah.
And at least last night, and he'll fit them all up, and then he'll pull the bolt's sacrificial, and he pulls it out. Then he actually rivets them in there. They're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I did invent the Tong Magic 2000 though. I got a contraption I made. I did invent that.
What'd you name it?
The Tong Magic 2000.
What is it?
Well, I'm not good at hitting that notch with a cross peen. So I made this contraption. Okay. It's got a bar going 90 degrees of the handle, and it's hinged, and it's got 2 tabs on it. And you lock it. You can snap it onto your tongs and hang it over the horn and hit that bar, and it knocks it down and gets you offset. Oh, it's amazing. I'll send you a picture of it. It's the Tong Magic 2000. Not. There's only 2 people I know have one. Is me and Ben Mangan, and I sent him one because he was going to Calgary and they wouldn't let him use a bottom tool. And so I said, well, I think I know we can make that work. And I don't know that he ever used his. He practiced with his cross peen until it worked. And I just made the rivet on the Tong Magic 2000. I said, well, I don't need to practice now. I got this.
Do you still do it that way?
Absolutely. I have a Hardy. I do it on one way, and then I do the other thing. Yeah, I can't hit it with a cross peen too good. You miss. I mean, not you, I know, but I probably ought to work that out. But I'm 30 tongs in now. I don't want to back up.
It's really hard to hit it at the same spot. I use multiple cross peens.
Yeah, I got the Tong Magic 2000.
Yeah, you don't have to practice.
Yeah, I don't have to practice. I got it. My Hardy
Tong
deal.
Magic 2000.
My Hardy deal, I got this like a round Hardy, and I have a little jig on it that goes 1 inch and it turns up, and you hit it and it makes a notch, so you get your notch good and started.
Okay.
And it's always 1 inch. It's always 1 inch notch, so I don't have variations in my boss that much. As long as your step down is good. I mean.
So you're never marked. So do your shoulders ever come out a little uneven?
Well, a little bit. I mean, but that's just from the forging. But they're pretty
consistent.
Yeah, you can. Because
you mark. I would think they would be.
Yeah.
Takes out some of the guessing.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of stuff you have to guess, and a lot of stuff you don't have to guess. I mean, if you don't have to guess, I mean, it looks cool when you do, but when you don't do it right, it looks real bad, It's like guessing how much steel you need, like 11 inches and
11 inches.
12,
It's always 11.
It's always 11. Yeah.
Do you plan on going and competing anymore?
Well, I did the convention. I do the drafts and the convention some. And
yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, me and Ben won second a couple years ago, Ben Mangan, and me and Mike Augustine did it this year, but we didn't have much luck. And
you like that class?
Oh, I like that. I mean, I like to go to convention and compete. I don't really want to do the whole thing anymore too much. I mean, that's a pretty good slugfest,
Yeah.
You got to work up a lot, get it. And I don't know.
Yeah, the draft class is a bit of a slugfest too.
Yeah, but it's just one, You don't have to go again in 15 minutes and do it again,
Mm-hmm.
But, I can make draft shoes or, I like to make draft shoes. Kind of like making tongs. You got to have something,
Yeah.
And do you have a power hour at home, or are you just?
Oh yeah, I have a 50-pound little giant. I got a
Okay.
50-pound little giant. Yeah. It's a smackarooner.
Say you just got somebody slacking around on the sledgehammer at all times.
No, yeah, well that, yeah, I got that, yeah. I made a deal. I made a deal not too long ago. I should have done it years ago. I put it's called something like a kiss block around my bottom die, so it only goes to 5/16, and man, that speeds up all that tong making stuff because you can just wail on the handles and stuff, and nothing ever gets smaller than 5/16.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. It's a guaranteed way to be there. Is that what all your tongs end up for thickness? Is 5/16?
No, but they don't get any smaller than that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I stop before them, but they don't get any smaller than that. You know, that's
Uh-huh.
the handles and
Yeah,
stuff.
those 50-pound little giants are pretty good for drawing out tong
Yeah,
rings.
yeah. I got a pair of the combination
Or like
dies, so I can,
yeah,
you know, and you can
they're
round them up on
fast.
there with that. You can roll them
Oh
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The machines haul butt. I think like how many beats per minute is that thing? Do you know?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I mean,
A
no,
lot.
just
Enough.
just mash. I just mash the lever. Boom, 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 boom. Every now and then it throws a breaker or something. You know, I had to work on that for a while. But yeah, I don't focus too much on stuff I don't need to worry with. You know.
I
So
know
are
it's
you,
like I think they're like 350 like beats per minute. Like they're hauling butt.
Oh, I don't run mine like that. Probably. I'm not in that big a hurry.
I bet you'd be surprised how fast
Yeah.
it's going.
Well, I don't just mash the lever down wide open all the time. You know. The
That's the
smaller
fun
the
part.
hammer, though, the 25 pounders run faster than the 50 pounders.
Yeah.
You know. Have you got to run
Sweet.
Jim Keith's big hammer?
No. No, but
Oh,
I've ran a 250-pound little giant.
yeah, he's
I
got.
think
I don't
he's a
know his.
McCulloch.
Yeah, but it's nice, boy. You can. It's real. It's not real fast, but it's real smooth and stuff. You know,
Well,
it's
it's my
everything.
hammer runs at like 150 beats per minute. It's slow.
How heavy is it though?
400 pounds.
Well,
Like
there's that.
385.
You don't want it
Yeah,
going.
there's
Work
there's
with.
there's that going on.
Yeah, yeah. I went to
But
Alabama.
it's slow. It's dirt slow. It's like
Yeah, I went to Alabama in the springtime. We do a deal out there at Travis Fleming shop, and they have I think it's a 250-pound hammer, and it's just got flat jies on it. And I
yeah.
was doing a tong making deal for them, and I was like, well, I'm drawing my blanks on that, you know. So I made my lollipops, and I noticed like the flashing, you know, it just kind of beat back down before you even knew it, and well, that was like all sharp. I had to grind that mess off. It was going to be dangerous. You know, it looked
yeah.
smooth when I was forging it out, but it was like, whoa, this ain't going to work at all, you know?
Goodness.
You know, I'm sure you run into
Flat
that
dies
before.
whip your ass really bad,
Oh,
pretty
it was
bad on
terrible.
those things.
No, I didn't do, I mean, that was not an optimal thing for me at all. I got it done, but, you know, it's kind of neat running a big old hammer like that, but I don't know
I
that I need
ruined
one.
so much stuff that same way that because
Yeah.
my bottom die is 4 inches by 10 inches.
Yeah, that's
And
similar to what this thing was. It's huge.
yeah, so it's like two anvil faces just coming together
Right.
that are like
And you
just
hit it
sharp
and it squirts out,
edge.
and then you hit it the other way and it seems like it squirted back, but then it had some
Yeah.
overlap you didn't notice. And, oh dear. When
Yeah,
you
it's a
start
whole
rubbing your
different
hand up and
world.
down that for handles, it's terrible.
It's always funny watching somebody their first time run it because they aren't fully expecting it, and like it just brings the thunder on that first hit.
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
squishes everything out. They're like, whoa, whoa.
You don't
Been
want to
there.
start off with a brand new the real project, right?
No, you always hand them a piece of scrap first.
Yeah.
Like, here, just draw this out a little bit, see what happens.
Yeah.
Did you get to spend much time with Jim Keith?
Oh, I've been around Jim quite a bit. I'm not worked with him a whole lot. You know, I've just been around him a lot and whatnot.
Yeah.
Been over to
Mhm.
the shop a time or two, and you know, just visiting more than anything, not necessarily really working.
I see.
And,
I see.
yeah.
Well, Tim, something we like to ask our guests on the show is who are 4 people that we call it a Mount Rushmore. So it's like who are 4 people that you hold in high regard or respect that you think have contributed a lot to your life and your success in your life?
Oh, I couldn't even begin to just narrow it down to 4. It had to be 40. I mean, I've had so many people
We got
help
time.
me. Well, I mean, it's just too much. I got, you know, everybody. I actually in this business, I have not run across anybody that didn't. If I put in the effort, they didn't help me back. You know, I mean, from the best fella in the world to the one that didn't do nothing. You know, it's just so many people have helped me. If I were to say, well, this guy or that guy, I would leave out so many people that I'd be ashamed to even do it. I mean, all the folks that everybody's mentioned before, I've been around most all of them, and they've all helped me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I just it'd be just I hate to just not try to do that, but I just have too many people that I've just had.
Yours is one big mass of people.
I have a
the whole
big mass.
industry.
I actually am like a village. Like there's been so many people. I mean, just if you name somebody, I've probably been there, and they probably have been a big part of my life at one time. I've just been around everybody for so long, and I mean, I know you got like Craig. Craig's done a tremendous lot, but I mean, then you got just everybody. I just, you know what I'm saying? I just couldn't really just.
It is a hard question sometimes to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's terrible, and
just
I
for
don't
exact
have.
people.
I don't really have like, I started like with Monty and then Larry, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and to the point where, I mean, so many people I just call them and I could go to their house. I mean, like Todd Walker has invited me to when they were having team practices and go to Todd Walker's house, and then, and talk to Travis Coons and whatnot, and he helped me a lot. Everybody, Chris Madrid, I used to stay at his daddy's house. I mean, how do you pick? I've been at Craig's house, and Jake Engler, and Gene Leisure's been a tremendous help to me because we got to be draft partners, and he showed me some inside circle stuff. That's what he called it, which meant you should pay attention to this. And then he'd tell me the same thing the next day because I didn't, I thought I was, but I just couldn't do it right, But there's just so much. I mean, I don't know. I don't have any four. I got 40, and then
That
know
works.
all of them, and
Yeah.
but you guys are doing a great job. This is a wonderful thing. I know people tell you that, and look, I got both my thumbs. That's better than your last guy, right?
Step up from our last guy.
Yeah, but my teeth ain't very good from the bull riding, but my thumbs are all right.
Got something going for you.
Yeah. I can still sign my name, but
You didn't lose your ass. You didn't lose your ass.
that's right. I got
Didn't
my
lose
ass
your
stepped on.
Hooter.
That's right. Got caught on my Hooter. Yeah.
You didn't lose your knees from Jay's cane.
That's right. Yeah. He swatted me with them a bunch, but yeah, that was a wonderful fellow, old Jay. I mean, he just wasn't nice about it, but he was a nice guy. He just did it the meanest way he could possibly do it.
Those are some of my favorite people usually.
Oh
though.
yeah. I seem to attract mean people, and I like them. And
Everybody needs an asshole friend.
I got them.
They might not want them, but they need them.
Most people think it's me. I'm their asshole friend.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
That's usually my role as well.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
We
about
all got
not
our
having
parts.
four. Somebody's got to be that guy, right?
Exactly.
I guess
Exactly.
Shane, he's going to get him a cane and go around beating people now that Jay's gone.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
He's earned it.
Craig keeps us in line pretty well.
Oh yeah, Craig
He
crapped
keeps
the whip.
reality knocking.
Yeah.
He's going to have a big cane, too, how tall he is.
Oh yeah. If Bodie ever needs one, it's going to have to be a piece of pulpwood or something, That boy's not quit growing yet, has he?
He'll need his own rebar punk just for carrying his cane around.
Yeah. Punk that rebar, punk my cane, boy.
He can get you from afar.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah.
Well, Hooter, we appreciate your
Man, I
time
appreciate
very much. Man,
Well, thank
you.
I hope it's tolerable.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, man. We appreciate it.
Well,
Yep.
all right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. And go check out Hooter's Sweet Tong Shuffle.
Woo! We need to make
Yeah.
that go viral. Everybody get your tongs and do the dance in your shop. You can
Do
do
the
it. It's
Hooter
not that
shuffle.
hard.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Hey, guys, do you like that Christmas morning feel of opening up a box, not knowing what's inside, feeling all sorts of excitement to find out what's inside? Well, let me tell you, you can feel that excitement every other month with a subscription to Farrier Box. Most farriers want to be competitive, whether it's attracting top-notch clients or winning contests. They take the tools and tricks of the trade used by today's top farriers and ship them to you so you have what you need to take your career to the next level. Go to farrierbox.com to start your subscription and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first month's box. I repeat, use code BRAINS for 25% off your first order. I know I like receiving packages, but I like it even more when it's a surprise, but also knowing I'm getting cool tools and tricks from Farrier Box. There's nothing out there like it in today's world of farriery, so you might as well go and level up with Farrier Box. Go to www.farrierbox.com and use code BRAINS for 25% off your first